Hi, what I'd like to demonstrate here is how to use a solder pot for soldering wires used in a underground burial low voltage landscape lighting system. The method that's used is a hub method. This is where several wires from many fixtures come together to a larger home run wire. Cast lighting calls this the spider splice method. Hub method is used generically. This is actually going to be a hub with an extension, which is real common in LED low voltage lighting systems. Now the piece of equipment you're looking at is a fairly old USA made industrial solder pot. These are still made. We still sell them through our shop here in Seymour, Tennessee. This method of creating your connections is one of the highest integrity methods, which will almost completely eliminate the possibility of corrosion at your connections, which if you've been in the landscape lighting industry for more than a few years, you know that that's one of the most common failures in a landscape lighting system is failures at the connections. They work real well when they're new, but you put them under the ground after a few years, they start to degrade. This pretty much eliminates that as an issue. So what we've got here is we have the solder pot. You can use a screwdriver to clean off the garbage that built up on the top from previous uses. Do it quickly so the screwdriver does not get too hot and get solder stuck to it. To the left is rosin core flux. This flux is available at Radio Shack. Yes, Radio Shack is still open in many parts of the country. It is an electronic grade. It is not an acid-based flux that you will find in home centers used for soldering copper pipes. Do not use that. Now the wiring, I'm going to show you how we have set up our wiring. We use a wire tie to act as a third hand to hold everything together in our bundle here. We have two number 12 wires. I'll get these out of the way so you can see them. There are two number 12s, power coming in, power going out, and then we have three fixture wires here going off to three imaginary fixtures. We strip the wire about 1.125 inches down, and then we align all the insulation, and then we use a piece of electrical tape to hold everything together so that it doesn't fall apart when we take our hands off it. This way we can prepare all our connections ahead of time, then come back and solder. Because the soldering process is very quickly. It's the preparation that will take time, but it's well worth the time to make these connections once you see what these look like after we have done the soldering. We also are careful to make sure we line up all the labels. This way we avoid the possibility of cross wiring, creating a short circuit, and also simplifies troubleshooting in the future. So now that these connections are stripped and prepped and ready to be soldered, the soldering process goes really quickly. The first things you'll want to do is put some flux about the size of a BB. Doesn't take a whole lot, especially with brand new clean tin coated wire. There's about the size of a BB on there. It's probably a little bit smaller, but that is fine. You'll see as it goes down into the solder, you will see the flux starting to boil, which is what starts the cleaning process. This boiling flux cleans oxidation off the wire. We'll leave the wire in here for about 5 seconds and then slowly remove it, and we'll let it cool. And you'll see as it cools, let me put my hand in front of it so the camera focuses better. Now you can see that all the way up to here we have basically solid metal. There's no opportunity for moisture and atmosphere to get in between these wires and cause corrosion. Now once all your solder connections are completed, hopefully you've already tested your system after you've twisted all the wires. You don't want to twist after soldering in case you have made a mistake, or someone working with you has made a mistake. This way you don't have to cut and restrip all these wires, because the only way to fix this is to cut the wires and restrip them. Then once that has been soldered, let me get the wire nut, and then of course you would take a wire nut, These are underground burial wire nuts. These are designed to be directly buried under the ground. These come from King Innovation, and these will cover this. It will also it will provide some protection from corrosion, but the big thing that it does is it has a silicone grease inside that seals the ends of the insulation and wire so that moisture cannot wick up into the wire, which can slowly degrade the wire. Being marine grade wire, that degradation is really slow. Copper wire will degrade more quickly, depending on how heavily loaded the wire is. Wires are more heavily loaded will operate at a warmer temperature, and the oxidation process happens more quickly. But with a marine grade wire, you'll get hopefully a lifetime of use, out of your wire and your connections. That concludes this video on how to use a solder pot for a spider splice or hub method of underground low voltage wiring connections.